you mentioned Ozempic, and I know that that's been a big thing for you lately. Okay, why didn't I bring my reading glasses? Because now I can't read what I cut out. Okay, we're gonna try. It's wait, glasses. It's your friend, Dr. Terry Jubro.
Oh, God, it's such a shame that this has come down to some sort of tragic, like, tabloid reality
and
TV.
I hate that for you.
Because it actually is something pretty serious.
But that's my point, Jillian. And that's why I want people who haven't heard it just to, can I read what he said? Because to me,
of course, please.
I took it personally.
No, yeah,
right?
go ahead.
Because sometimes it's just tone. It's the way you say it, not even your words. And he said, as a board-certified physician and a certified expert for the California Medical Board, I'm not here to debate scientific and medical issues with a personal trainer. This is what he told TMZ, according to Jillian Michaels. And once again, his claim to fame is botched. Real Housewives of Orange County. So he became famous.
He's a plastic surgeon.
He's a plastic surgeon, yes, and he got famous on TV. Great. He continued to say, to ignore or belittle these incredible miracle weight loss drugs is sending the wrong message. Do not listen to her, Jillian Michaels. Ladies and gentlemen, what was your reaction?
Okay, so first, let's establish a few things. Number one, in July of 2023, he was the premier expert in an article from the New York Post about the fact that Ozempic could, quote, cost you your life. He went on to say that he currently had 3 patients in the hospital because of Ozempic who hadn't gone under the knife yet, and that he was urging experts in the field of weight loss to speak out about the dangerous side effects of these drugs. Now, I'm guessing, I have no proof of this yet, but my guess is somewhere, like, what would be the sudden about face, right? I'm guessing somewhere.
A check or two might have been written,
But there's something called open payment, I believe it's called. I go on there often, actually. And you can see who's taking money from the drug companies and how much they've taken. And unfortunately, 2023 is not out yet.
Oh,
because I was like, oh, come on.
Bring it.
Now, so let's just leave it there. So what happened there? Between then and now, I wonder what happened. But let's table that. This goes back to the fact that professionally, everything we've talked about thus far, I'm not an expert in. I'm not an expert in parenting. Quite the opposite. I'm not an expert in vaccines. Quite the opposite. I don't know shit about COVID. This is just you and I saying like, gosh, I got a feeling, given the information out there, I seem to have formed this opinion, and we're discussing that. This is a different ball game. Professionally, I don't transact in opinions, ever. So the information I'm giving you is fact-based. You can form not even based, it's fact.
Yes.
You can form your own opinion about that. So for example, when you go to the website for these drugs, you're gonna see all this crazy stuff, pancreatitis, gallbladder problems, kidney failure, blah, blah, all the way down. It's pretty intense. And they're like, well, the more severe conditions of this are rare. Actually, I wanna back into this. Can I back into this real quick? I wanna play devil's advocate. Let's go with a best case scenario, okay? You're one of the 50%, roughly, that has no side effects. Amazing. You've lost a ton of weight. And as a result of that weight loss, you have seen improvements in all your biomarkers associated with heart health. And even though semaglutide is not the most effective drug for lowering A1C by any means, you've seen improvements, right? In your A1C, excellent, which is not a result of the medication, it's a result of the weight loss. That is the mechanism by which you are seeing improvements in those aspects of your health, okay?
Yes.
So if you just lost weight, you'd have all those improvements. No side effects,
right?
Okay, that said, okay, great. Now this is amazing. We're 18 months into it, we're 60 pounds down. Here's what's going to happen. Let's put you in a time capsule. You will plateau on this drug. Not an opinion. Fact. Google that. I'm encouraging to Google. Don't trust me. Google it for yourself. You will plateau on the drug. Your body is homeostatic, which means over time it's seeking a balance. GLP-1 is a hormone, incretin, it's a hormone. So when you are giving the body a hormone exogenously, over time, the body is like, oh, I'm gonna stop making this on my own. Oh, I'm gonna develop a tolerance to this.
Tolerance, yep.
And you will plateau on the drugs. Google it. Now then, what are you going to do when they stop working physiologically? Do you think you're going to get off of it? Because you will gain all of the weight back. All of the meta-analyses show us this. Google it. It's not my opinion, okay? So here's the bigger problem. Now, when the drug stops working, if you choose to get off of it, because it's also very expensive, you're handcuffed to this drug for the rest of your life, Google it. Okay, so we get off of it. You've got a couple of issues. Fact, there is, quote, let me quote Peter Attia. Hopefully he's more credible than Dr. Terry DeBro. He will tell you that in his practice, according to the DEXA scans he does with his patients, he sees muscle loss at a, quote, alarming rate. He uses these drugs as a last resort, and he won't even put patients on them until he does a DEXA scan to make sure that they're not older and in a dangerous position where they can't afford to lose muscle mass or bone density. So you've lost muscle mass without question. You've lost and compromised bone density, so your metabolism is going to be slower. You have been starving your body because you aren't eating for such a long period of time that you will then lower your metabolic set point. So we've seen this, if you look at case studies like the Great Potato Famine. I wrote about this in my book, The 6 Keys. By the way, with a medical researcher interviewing doctors. So what ended up happening to these individuals who went through a period of famine is that it marked their epigenome and passed on a slower metabolism to their offspring. So your body, when going through a period of famine, says, okay, we know that food's going to be scarce. So we'll make biochemical shifts hormonally. And it will say, when we eat again, let's make sure we store this. It's yo-yo dieting.
Yeah.
It's science, it's proven, it's fact. So now you've lowered your metabolic set point. So let's say you used to burn 1,500 calories a day without exercise. Now you're burning 12. And you've lost muscle, which is gonna lower your metabolism. And you've been giving your body GLP-1 exogenously, so your body's gonna shut off its ability to make that endogenously. Now, there's not a study about this yet, but I'm going to tell you that with any other hormone that we've done this with, whether it's people, there's a reason I don't take HGH. I would love to do that. Nope. This is why. There's a reason that people, when you take these things exogenously, it'll work for a little while, then there's an equilibrium. That's why when guys get off testosterone, you see what happens. They gain the weight, all these health problems because they were taking it exogenously, so now their body isn't making it endogenously. So now this is something that I would presume, that I would draw the following conclusions, that your body probably will not make GLP-1 as effectively when you get off of it. So there is a devastating rebound effect when people get off the drugs. That's a fact. Google it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's because of all those reasons that I'm putting forward, but the result is fact. That is our best case scenario.
That's the best case.
So tell me where we're going here. Now, people, and this, I just got in this discussion with a doctor the other day, who's a friend, and he's like, but Jill, I have patients that come in here and they've given up hope. And I said, let's play it out together, doc. Like, where are we going? And his hope, he's like, well, my hope is that it kickstarts these healthy habits. We don't actually know that yet, but here's the only reason I would wonder about that is because what is this drug doing? It's combating hunger. So yes, it's facilitating people taking in less calories, which is the mechanism that is facilitating weight loss, right? But what it's actually doing is combating this insatiable hunger. And when we look at why are people so hungry, they weren't this hungry in 1950, they weren't this hungry in 1960, they weren't actually this hungry until about the mid-1970s, and then obesity starts going up exponentially, right? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the food that we are currently eating in our environment, it is designed to be highly palatable, highly addictive. It does not release GLP-1. It has no fiber. It has no fat. It has no protein. All of those things release certain hormones that say, yo, you're full. Stop eating. It doesn't have any of that.
Yeah.
So you can drink 1,000 calories of soda and be starving. Whereas if I gave you 1,000-calorie dinner that was, let's say, a piece of grass-fed beef and some vegetables and this, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna explode. I can't eat another bite.
Yeah.
So you've got that problem with the food. And the food is also a massive dopamine hit. It's designed to do that. It impacts the dopamine center of your brain like cocaine, nicotine. So that's happening. And then at the same time, I personally think we're lonelier than ever. We're more anxious than ever. Our lives are more sedentary than ever due to modern day conveniences. And it's a multifactorial problem that is not solved by a drug that will eventually stop working.
It's gonna stop working.
And then you've got all the side effects of getting off of it. Now let's play out our worst case scenario, which is stomach paralysis, intestinal blockage, pancreatitis, kidney failure, gallbladder problems, muscle loss, accelerated facial aging, hair loss, suicidal ideation. Like, are you kidding?
My God.
I'm just, why am I out here alone? And then I get these messages from friends of mine who are doctors, because by the way, all I do all day long on my podcast is interview doctors. And on the down low, like if I could show you my phone, they arm me with these studies quietly behind closed doors. And I'm like, well, thanks, but anybody? And the reason they can't come out and say it is like some of them get their grant money from the pharmaceutical companies.
So it all comes full circle with the pockets getting lined and Big Pharma.
How much money do you think Big Pharma pays these doctors?
That's what I want to know.
In particular, Novo Nordisk. How much money have they spent buying doctors to prescribe these drugs? Millions and millions and millions of Google it.
Hashtag Google it.
Google it.
Yeah.
It's all public. It's public information.
But this is why we need you. This is why so many of us love you and are grateful, because sadly, it takes courage to say what you're saying. Would you agree?
I wouldn't say it takes courage.